There's a truth about healthy aging that very few people talk about. It's not just about eating well, and it's not only about taking your medication on time or going in for regular checkups. Sometimes, the journey to healthy aging starts with something tiny, like the way you step down a stair, or how you walk through your kitchen, even whether you hold your head high or keep your eyes glued to your feet with every step. Because if you're over 60, a single fall can change the rest of your life. Not just a broken leg, a sore back, or a scraped elbow, but the loss of confidence, the loss of independence, the fear of leaving the house unless someone's there to hold your arm. Clara Henderson, age 73, knows that feeling. One September morning, she stepped onto the back steps to pick a few rosemary sprigs. It had rained the night before. The stone was a little slick, and she slipped. No one was home. No one heard her fall. She didn't break a bone. But from that day on, she was afraid to walk alone. She said, "I wasn't afraid of pain. I was afraid of feeling. Like I wasn't in control anymore." Have you ever thought that just one wrong step, just one, could take away the independence you've worked so hard to keep your whole life? The joy of walking by yourself, the confidence of moving without a cane, the pride of saying, "I'm okay," when someone offers to help. But what if you could get all of that back? What if, with just a few small changes, tiny ones, you could walk more steadily, feel more in control, and trust every step again? This video isn't here to sell you a pair of miracle shoes, and we won't ask you to hit the gym or buy expensive equipment. Instead, we will share 6 simple yet powerful walking habits that have helped hundreds of people over 70 never fall after 60. These habits come from real experiences, expert advice, and inspiring stories from people who once believed they'd never walk confidently again. My name is Dr. Noah Jennings, a physical therapist who's worked with older adults for over 40 years. And today, I want to share the stories of 6 individuals, 6 lessons, 6 turning points. So if you're looking for how to walk safely over 70 or want to live more securely after 60, you're exactly where you need to be. Because healthy aging isn't about staying young forever. It's about staying active, informed, and free. It's about understanding this simple truth. Falling isn't an inevitable part of aging. It's something you can prevent if you know how, with a few simple habits, the right kind of practice, and an awareness of how you move. You'll begin to feel it. Every step, every motion can become more steady. So whether you're 62, 74, or 88, whether you've fallen before, you're afraid of falling, or you want to stay safe, walk with us for the next few minutes. Because maybe, just maybe, the small things you learn today, it could help you go much farther in the years ahead. And now let's start with the first habit. A habit that's not in your feet, but in your eyes. Habit 1, let your vision lead the way. Not your fear. Harold Mays used to be the first man in the neighborhood to wake up every morning. While the sky was still misty, he'd already been dressed in a light jacket, a simple wool hat, and well-worn walking shoes. He didn't walk fast, but he walked steadily. Around the block, through the small park, and back home before his neighbors even opened their curtains. That habit had stayed with him for nearly 15 years, ever since his wife passed. "Morning walks help me feel clear and calm," he told his doctor during a checkup. But over the past year, something began to change. Harold no longer walked the way he used to. He would pause halfway up the park hill, grip the railing, breathe quietly, and stare at his feet for a long time before taking the next step. That hill, once barely noticeable now, made his back curl forward without him even realizing it. Each time he walked down, he felt his body tipping forward, as if one wrong step might send him falling. He didn't tell anyone. Not his daughter. Not the neighbors. Because more than the fear of falling, Harold feared the look of pity in someone's eyes. Then, one morning, he slipped a little on the curve of the hill path during a drizzle. He didn't fall, but he stumbled for several steps, and his heart pounded fast afterward. He stopped, holding onto a lamppost, eyes fixed on the tip of his shoes. And for the first time in 15 years, Harold went home without finishing his walk. That day, he visited a physical therapist at the nearby rehab center. The therapist watched him walk and said just one sentence. "Mr. Harold, right now, it's your fear leading the way, not your eyes." That sentence made Harold lift his head, truly lifted for the first time in months. Then, the therapist introduced a simple idea. Forward gaze looking ahead, not down at your feet. Your body is like a train, the therapist explained. And your head is the lead car. Wherever it goes, the rest will follow. If you're always looking at the ground, your back, shoulders, hips, and legs will all tilt that way. At first, Harold thought that sounded strange. He thought, but if I don't look down, how will I spot a slippery patch or a crack in the sidewalk? But then the therapist had him try it in the practice room. A short, straight path, marked by a white painted line like a sidewalk stripe. First, Harold walked as he always did, eyes down, shoulders hunched, each step slow and cautious. Then, the therapist asked him to walk again, but this time to keep his eyes on the end of the line, about 10 feet away. Relax his shoulders. Lift his chin just slightly. Harold walked slowly, feeling a bit unsure. But after a few steps, something surprised him. His steps became more even. The jerky feeling disappeared. He was no longer leaning forward like he did going downhill. When he reached the end of the line, he paused and laughed softly. "I didn't realize. Just changing where I look could change how my whole body moves," he said, amazed. From that day on, Harold started practicing this new habit. Each morning before heading out, he'd remind himself, "Eyes up. Don't let fear take the lead." At first, it wasn't easy. Halfway through his walk, he'd have to whisper reminders. "Look forward. Lift your chin just a bit." But after just 1 week, it became second nature. The surprising part, not only did walking feel easier, but Harold's whole mood began to change. When he stopped looking down all the time, he started noticing things he'd missed for months. Bright yellow flowers blooming in the park. A little boy riding a bike to school with a backpack twice his size. An older woman knitting quietly on a porch across the street. The world no longer felt so heavy because Harold wasn't walking with his head bowed anymore. One day, his granddaughter came to visit and said, "Grandpa, you're walking so straight lately. You look like a royal guard." Harold laughed, not because he looked like a soldier, but because he knew something had changed, and not because of a cane or fancy gear, but from a straightforward shift where he placed his gaze. When your head lifts, Harold later told a friend at the park, your confidence stands up too. If you've made it this far in the video, and you often walk with your head down, whether out of habit, fear of tripping, or uneven sidewalks, try this one thing. Look forward, just a few feet ahead. Notice how your body feels when your chin rises, your shoulders open, and your back finds its natural posture. You might be surprised how a slight change in your vision, it can change the way you walk entirely. And if you feel this could be helpful for you, leave a comment below with just 2 words. Head up. It's not just a commitment to yourself. It's a quiet message to others who may need the courage to try it. We can't turn back time, but we can choose to make each step steadier than the last. Habit 2, your arms, the silent partners in every step. Bernice Walsh was never one to give up easily. After a minor fall on the front steps of her house 2 years ago, she decided she wouldn't let it slow her down. She bought a light aluminum cane silver with a soft grip and began walking every afternoon in the backyard garden. At first, everyone praised her. "You're so strong," they said, and she believed she had adapted well. But just a few months later, she noticed something strange. The more she walked, the more unbalanced she felt. It wasn't that her legs were weaker. It wasn't that the cane was slippery. It felt like her whole body was being pulled to one side. Once, she nearly slipped while walking across the tiled patio. Even though she was moving slowly and watching every step, her left shoulder, the side holding the cane, leaned outward. That time, her granddaughter joked, "Grandma, you walk like you're leaning into the wind." Bernice laughed, but deep down she felt uneasy. She brought it up during her routine checkup with a physical therapist. After just a few minutes of watching her walk, the therapist didn't adjust her cane. She didn't correct her step. Instead, they asked a straightforward question. "Mrs. Walsh, when was the last time your right arm moved in rhythm when you walked?" Bernice froze. She didn't know. It turned out that ever since she'd started using the cane on her left side, her right arm had stopped moving. It either hung loosely, swung without purpose, or held onto her small purse. Sometimes, out of fear, she kept her arm close to her chest, almost like bracing herself by locking her body tight. The therapist explained, "When one arm stops swinging, your walking rhythm becomes uneven. Your right leg steps forward, but your right arm doesn't follow. This lack of balance pulls the shoulder down, tilts the spine slightly, and causes your entire center of gravity to shift." An image of a pendulum came to Bernice's mind. Each step is a forward motion, and the arms keep the body from swaying off course. But if only one side is doing the work, the whole clock swings off balance. That day, she learned a simple exercise. March in place, in front of a mirror, and each time the left foot steps forward, gently swing the right arm back. That cross-body rhythm, once second nature in her younger days, now had to be relearned from scratch. At first it felt silly. How could something as basic as arm swinging be so tricky? But then something unexpected happened after just a few days of practice. The leaning sensation disappeared. Her body felt straighter. Her back stopped tightening. And most important of all, walking no longer felt like effort. It became what it was meant to be, a natural movement. A few weeks later, she was out walking in the park near her home when a longtime friend waved and called out, "You move so smoothly now. You don't even look like you're using a cane." Bernice smiled, her right arm gently swinging in rhythm, her shoulders relaxed, not hunched. And she thought to herself, just one arm, but it brought back a balance I didn't realize I'd lost. Most people don't notice how vital their arms are when walking. We often focus so much on our feet, on every step, that we forget. Our arms are helping shape every movement, every stride, and even our sense of confidence. A coordinated arm is a silent companion, but if we forget about it, the body will remind us. So, if you've gotten into the habit of keeping both arms stiff when you walk, or if you find yourself leaning slightly to one side and don't know why, try this. Relax your shoulders. Let your arms swing again, even if it's just one. You may be surprised at how this simple shift not only changes your walk, but how do you feel about each step? And if this makes you want to try it during your next walk, leave a comment below with 2 simple words. Loosen up. It's a gentle reminder that you deserve to move not through tension, but through ease. Because sometimes a softly swinging arm is the first step back toward confidence. Habit 3. Heel first, because the first part of every step matters. Most Leonard Cruz is a quiet man, 74 years old, living alone in a small wooden house near the forest in Oregon. He used to be a professional gardener. He spent his life surrounded by plants, soil, and the peaceful rhythms of nature. Even after retiring, tending to the backyard garden was essential to his daily life. Then, one late winter morning, while carrying a basket of seeds from the house to the garden, he caught his foot slightly on the back door threshold and nearly fell. It wasn't a fall. No injury, no scrape. But the helplessness of that moment startled him. Not because the step was too high, not because the ground was slippery, but because he couldn't feel how his foot had touched the ground. That evening, Leonard sat in his kitchen, looking down at his feet. Still wearing the same old high-top shoes he wore almost daily, and he realized how long had it been since he thought about how he walked. Lately, he had started dragging his feet. No heel lift. There is no natural rolling motion. Each step had become more of a glide than a grounded, intentional movement. He mentioned this during a regular checkup with a physical therapist and was told something surprising. Out of fear of falling, many older adults unconsciously change how they walk. They stop using the natural motion of the foot. No more heel strikes. No more roll through the arch to the toes. Just short, sliding steps that feel safer. But ironically, it increases the risk of tripping. The therapist taught him a straightforward technique called heel to toe. It means that every step should start with the heel touching down, then roll through the sole, and end with the toes gently pushing off for the next step. It's how our bodies used to move automatically for most of our lives. But it's easy to forget as we age. Leonard was skeptical. I've been walking this way all year, he thought. What's wrong with that? Still, he gave it a try. First, he took off his shoes. He walked barefoot along a bath towel laid out on the kitchen floor. He slowed each step deliberately. Heel, arch, two. It wasn't fast, but something unusual happened. He felt his feet come alive again. After just a few minutes, Leonard began to sense gravity more clearly. His calf muscles were engaged. His knees moved more freely. His hips swayed smoothly instead of jolting with every step. Most importantly, he was no longer dragging his feet. Each step felt grounded, a full connection with the floor beneath him. From that day on, Leonard set aside 5 minutes each morning to practice mindful walking. Even if it was just from his bedroom to the porch. He is still in his pajamas, still barefoot, sometimes holding the back of a chair for balance. But he walked as if he was relearning an old skill, one he'd done all his life, but never realized how precious it was. A few weeks later, while back in the garden, he noticed something. He no longer stumbled when stepping on uneven stones. Going up and down the greenhouse steps felt easier. Even bending over to tend his vegetables became more comfortable. And all of it, he realized, came from one thing. His feet had remembered how to walk the right way. One afternoon, a young neighbor stopped by to borrow a rake. He watched Leonard walk out of the house and blurted out, "You walk so steady. If I'm your age, I'll probably be in a wheelchair." Leonard just smiled, not because of the compliment, but he knew every step he took now was the right kind of step. Our feet are the foundation of the body. If they don't land properly, the entire skeleton from knees to hips to spine has to compensate, often in unhealthy ways. That's why so many older adults suffer from back or hip pain, without ever realizing that the real cause might be how they're walking. If you found yourself shuffling your feet or avoiding heel contact because you think it's safer, then maybe you're like Leonard. But remember this, you don't have to walk fast. You have to walk right. Every time your heel touches the ground, you're sending a message to your body that you're in control, not fear. And if you'd like to try this habit, start with something simple. Slow down. Notice if your heel makes contact first. Feel the arch roll forward. And when your toes reach the ground, gently push into the next step. If you've lost that feeling, today could be the day you reclaim it. All you need is a towel, a quiet hallway, or simply the decision to start again. And if this speaks to you, leave a comment below with the words, "Heel first." It's not just a technique. It's a reminder to yourself. Even slow steps can be strong steps when you put your mind into every one of them. Habit 4. Shorter steps, longer life. Franklin Reed was the kind of man whose stride turned heads. Even well into his 80s, he walked briskly through the neighborhood long steps, firm rhythm, shoulders back, eyes forward. Neighbors would often joke, if Mr. Reed entered a race with the younger guys, he'd probably win. He'd smile, because deep down he believed keeping up the pace was the best way to stay ahead of aging. That habit had started after retirement when he noticed his body slowing down, and his instinctive response, walk faster. Each long stride felt like a declaration. I'm still strong. I'm still in control. The feeling of heel hitting the ground, toes pushing off, and legs stretching forward made him feel like time hadn't caught up. Until one afternoon, he was walking across the kitchen hallway right after mopping the floor, and his foot slid slightly on the damp tile. He didn't fall but had to throw his arms out to catch himself and banged hard into the table's edge. His heart raced. His shirt was damp with sweat, not from the slip, but from the sudden fear that hit him. What if next time I can't catch myself? That evening, he sat in the living room for a long time, one hand gripping a cushion, his mind replaying that moment. Then a thought struck him. Are my steps too long? Was each big stride forward a trade-off sacrificing stability for a false sense of strength? The next day, Franklin visited a rehabilitation specialist at the local senior center. After observing him walk for just a few minutes, the therapist nodded and said, Mr. Reed, you're doing what many strong older adults tend to do, walking like your body's still 40. Franklin chuckled, half agreeing, half uncertain. The therapist continued, the problem isn't fast or slow. The problem is that your center of gravity is drifting too far ahead. Each long stride pulls your body off balance. So, he was taught a simple but powerful technique. Take shorter steps. He didn't need to slow down, just shorten his stride enough so that his full body weight remained centered over the foot on the ground. No lunging, there is no stretching forward, just steady, grounded walking. At first, it felt strange, like learning to walk all over again. Shorter steps, more rhythm, less reach. But to Franklin's surprise, his body felt lighter. His back no longer ached after walks. His knees stopped throbbing. Most importantly, he didn't need to adjust to stay balanced constantly. The therapist explained, when you take long steps, your body is pulled forward, which means your reflexes have to work faster to correct any wobble. But with shorter steps, everything stays closer to your core, like a tree with roots deep and centered. Even if it slips a little, it doesn't fall. It's like crossing a bamboo bridge, the therapist said. Those who take shorter steps always reach the other side more safely. After a few weeks of practice, Franklin changed his morning walk routine. No more long strides. Now it was measured and controlled. He swapped out his old shoes for a lighter pair with softer soles. Sometimes he'd count quietly in his head as he walked. 1, 2, 1, 2. Not to impress anyone, not for show, because he knew every shorter step was one more day, and he wouldn't need someone's arm to steady him. One day, his grandson asked, "Grandpa, why do you walk so slow now?" Franklin wasn't offended. He leaned down, patted the boy's shoulder, and said, "I'm not walking slow. I'm walking steady." The boy looked at him differently then, as if, somehow, there was something more substantial in that slower step than any sprint could ever carry. So, if you've made it this far, and you recognize in yourself the same push to take long strides, to prove you're still strong, maybe it's time to pause. Try walking like someone who's listening to their own body, No race to win. There is no one to catch. 'Cause stability doesn't come from how far you go. It comes from where you choose to stay grounded. Tomorrow morning, try a shorter step. Let your foot land fully before lifting the next. Let each step be a reminder, not of how fast you're moving, but of the fact that you're fully in control. And if this feels like the right habit to try, leave a comment below with 2 words. Short step. It's not just a safer choice. It's a way of telling yourself, I choose to live longer by walking smarter. Because not everyone who moves fast reaches the finish first, but those who walk right always get where they need to go. Habit 5. Strength isn't just in your legs, it's in your core. After a cold that lingered longer than expected, Lillian Aga ended up in the hospital for nearly 3 weeks. For the first time in years, she couldn't walk from her bed to the window to open the curtains in the morning. A simple ritual she had always considered the start of her day. When she was finally discharged and returned home, what she looked forward to most wasn't a home-cooked meal or her favorite armchair. It was the feeling of standing up without grabbing onto the side of the bed. Lillian was never a frail woman. She had spent her whole life as a nurse, on her feet, always moving, always busy. But now, at 81, after weeks of lying still, everything changed faster than she could adjust to. Even though the doctors said her legs were strong, no profound muscle loss, no dangerous bone thinning. Every time she stood up from a chair, she felt wobbly. Not pain, just instability, like standing on a ship at sea. At first, she assumed it was just her legs. She tried massaging them, doing stretches, and walking a few laps around the house. But the feeling stayed. Then, one day, her granddaughter visited. She watched Lillian walk down the hallway and said, with a little laugh, "Grandma, you walk like someone who's lost their center of gravity." It sounded like a joke, but Lillian couldn't stop thinking about it. The next day, she called an old friend, someone who used to be a yoga instructor. They had taken a few classes together before the pandemic, and her friend said, "Lillian, maybe the problem's not in your legs, maybe in your core." Until then, Lillian had never thought much about the word core. It sounded like something young people said when talking about fitness or six-packs. But after looking into it, she learned something surprising. The core isn't just your belly. It's your entire center, your abdominals, lower back, hips, and it's what keeps every movement in balance. Even the strongest legs can't keep you steady if your core is weak. Her friend showed her a straightforward exercise. Stand near a wall or countertop, lift one foot just a few inches off the floor, hold for 5 seconds, then switch sides. Lillian thought it would be easy, but as soon as she tried, she had to grab the counter. By the 3rd second, she was tipping to one side, not because her legs were weak, but because her core had no anchor. Still, she didn't give up. Every morning, after making tea, she'd spend 3 minutes at the kitchen counter, lifting one foot at a time, gently engaging her belly. Some days she couldn't hold for long. Some days she nearly lost her balance. But within a week, she noticed something had changed. She no longer rushed to grab the armrest each time she stood up. She didn't need to pause each time she stepped from the rug to the tile. Her movements began to feel stable again. She kept practicing. While brushing her teeth, she'd stand on one foot. She'd take a few deep breaths while waiting for the kettle to boil, lightly tightening her belly. These small, almost invisible actions became her new foundation. What she didn't expect was this. The feeling of control didn't just return to her legs, it spread to her spirit. She felt more in charge of everything, no longer nervous to go out alone, no longer hesitating at the stairs. One day, while shopping at the local grocery store, she let go of the cart, stood tall in the aisle, and closed her eyes for 2 seconds. She didn't sway at all, An older gentleman nearby looked at her and said, "Wow, you're steady on your feet." She laughed. "I train every morning thanks to this belly of mine." And they both shared a smile. Core strength is something few people think about when it comes to falling. We often focus on the legs, on walking sticks, on shoes. But in reality, when the core is weak, the whole body loses its central stability. Every movement becomes easier to throw off course. The good news is, you don't need a gym. You don't need fancy equipment. You can build your core strength right in your kitchen every day. If you've ever felt yourself wobble when standing, even without pain, you might be just like Lillian. And you can start again with the simplest of steps. Just 5 seconds each morning. Just a few breaths with a gentle belly squeeze. And soon, you'll feel the control coming back, like tiny bricks rebuilding your foundation. A strong core won't turn you into a bodybuilder, but it will help you stand firmer, trust your own body more, and walk not with hesitation, but with actual forward motion. If you're ready to begin that journey back to the center, leave a comment with the word core. It's a small promise to yourself. I'm keeping my center strong so I can stay in charge of me. And sometimes, that's more than enough. Habit 6. Listen to the ground beneath your feet. Peter Howell lives alone in a quiet apartment on the first floor of a small building in suburban Minneapolis. At 79, he still cares for himself. Cooking, cleaning, walking each morning, and making tea at precisely 9 a.m. Neat, independent. It's how he's lived since his wife passed. His apartment is simple but comfortable. Warm brown carpet in the living room, polished tile in the kitchen, and pale laminate wood in the hallway. Peter knows every corner of the space, every transition from room to room. But one chilly October afternoon, just after a light rain, something happened that he'd never expected. He stepped from the living room carpet into the kitchen to fill the kettle. But as soon as his left foot left the carpet and touched the tile, he felt his body waver slightly. It was only a brief moment, but enough to make his heart pound. He quickly reached for the back of a nearby chair. He didn't fall. He didn't slip. But that sudden sense of imbalance stopped him. He stood still for a few seconds, staring down at his slippers. It's the same floor as always, he thought. No puddles, no clutter. It's just a change in surface. So why did it catch me off guard today? The next day, at the local community center, he casually mentioned the moment to a volunteer who happened to be a physical therapist. The therapist nodded calmly and said, "You're not the first to notice that. Our bodies respond differently to changes in flooring, but our brains take a little longer to process those shifts as we age. And in that tiny delay, our balance can slip." Peter said nothing. It was the first time he'd heard that something as simple as a floor change from carpet to tile could lead to a fall. Not because he was weak, but because he didn't notice. The therapist gave him a tip, something Peter had never considered. Name the floor. Each time you move into a new surface, say its name in your mind. Tile. Carpet. Wood. It sounds almost silly, but that small act signals the brain, sharpening attention and triggering the body's natural balance reflexes at the right moment. Peter decided to try it. That same evening, walking back from the kitchen to the living room, he said in his mind, "Carpet." And in that exact moment, he stepped more gently, more mindfully. He felt the softness of the fibers beneath his feet, a feeling he hadn't honestly noticed in a long time. From then on, he made it a quiet ritual. Every time he crossed into a new surface, he whispered it in his mind. Wood. Tile. Carpet. Cool tile. Bathroom floor. Just a few simple words, but they made a big difference. He no longer rushed. His feet felt more grounded, and the fear he used to feel when leaving a familiar room began to fade. One day he caught himself thinking at the grocery store. Stone floor. Then, as he entered a crowded aisle, slick tile. And for the first time in a long while, he finished his entire shopping trip without holding on to the cart just for balance. Our bodies are constantly sending us signals, but if the mind doesn't listen, we miss them. The floor doesn't change, but the surprise, the lack of attention makes many older adults stumble. Peter shared this story at a community group meeting, and many heads nodded in understanding. One woman leaned in and whispered, "I slipped last time because I forgot the bathroom had slick tile. I thought I was still on the bedroom floor." They smiled gently. A quiet moment of shared wisdom from people learning to walk with awareness again. We often assume that falls happen because we're weak, tired, or the floor is slippery. But sometimes the real cause is simple. We weren't paying attention, like a driver who misses a road sign. We know the route, but we still lose our way. So, if you move across different floor types each day, from the living room to the porch, from the bathroom to the hallway, try Peter's habit. Name the floor. Just a word, just a moment of awareness. And you may find your feet start to listen to the ground again. Because sometimes it's not the floor that's slick. We just weren't focused enough to meet it. If this idea feels right for you, leave a comment below with the words, "Aware floor." It's your way of saying, I will walk not just with my feet, but with full awareness. Because sometimes that awareness is precisely what keeps us standing tall in this world. Conclusion: every step is a promise to yourself. There's something beautiful I've witnessed over decades of working with older adults. As they age, many people begin to learn to walk all over again. But unlike when we were toddlers, when learning to walk was about keeping up with the world, learning to walk after 60 isn't about keeping pace with anyone else. It's about holding on to yourself. You're not just learning to walk again. You're learning to reclaim your life. Because every step at this stage of life is more than a movement. It's a quiet declaration. I still can. I'm still in control. I can still walk across the kitchen, through the garden, to the gate without asking for someone's hand. Have you noticed? All 6 habits we've just walked through. Not a single one requires extraordinary strength. No hard exercises. No expensive equipment. Just small shifts where you place your gaze, how your arms swing, how your foot meets the floor, the length of your step, the strength in your core, and even where your mind is when the surface under your feet changes. They may seem minor, but together they form a body that can balance itself, a spirit no longer haunted by the fear of falling, and a sense of control subtle, lasting, and proud that no external tool can give you. Because healthy aging isn't about staying young forever. It's about staying yourself on your terms. It's about refusing to believe that growing old means growing weak. About not accepting that life after 70 must mean dependence. About never treating the first fall as a final sentence. What moves me most isn't when someone walks again after a stroke. It's when that person quietly says, "Now I can get from my bed to the window without needing anyone to help me." That is the treasure of aging. And if you're still reading these words, still here with us at the end of this video, you're not just looking for tips on walking safely over 70. You're truly caring for yourself, not just with medicine, but with awareness, self-respect, and a quiet determination to live steady, independent, and worthy. You're not walking alone. There are thousands of people like you, all over the world, quietly taking small steps, adjusting little habits, learning to lift their gaze, swing their arms, engage their core, and call out the floor beneath them. Remember them? Mr. Harold, who learned to look up after months of staring down at fear. Miss Bernice, who rediscovered her walking rhythm by swinging her arm again. Mr. Leonard, who planted each heel like a moment of gratitude for being alive. Mr. Franklin, who gave up long strides for shorter, steadier steps. Ms. Lillian rebuilt her sense of balance with just a few seconds of daily core work. And Mr. Peter, who realized that what trips us isn't always the floor, but sometimes our unconsciousness. If they can do it, so can you. Step by step, I'm more grounded than yesterday. Not to become young again, but to become the strongest, most stable version of yourself after 60. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of the 6 habits felt most meaningful to you? Which one will you try first, starting tomorrow morning? Leave a comment below with just one number, 1 through 6, matching the habit you connect with most. 1. Lift your head, let your vision lead the way. 2. Swing your arms naturally, without tension. 3. Let your heel land first, follow through step by step. 4. Shorten your stride, improve your balance. 5. Engage your core with light belly activation. 6. Name the floor, bring your awareness back to your steps. Just one number, but it's a promise to yourself. A quiet vow that your path to never fall after 60 won't rely on luck, but on habit. And if this video has helped you see something, even something small, then I invite you to hit subscribe. Not for me, but for the journey you're already on. We don't make these videos to go viral. We're not here for views. We're here to walk with you as you learn to own your age with peace and purpose. You deserve to walk with confidence, not fear. And I hope every video we create becomes another steady step on that journey. Thank you for staying with us to the very end. We'll always be here to keep walking with you.